What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. One thing I've thought about lately, in addition to other things, is the interest that people have in the alt-right, dissident right, and other internet provocateurs. Why this is that people like myself take an interest in this, in relatively small personalities that really don't have any power. The only power they do have is to evoke emotions and create outrage. Nick Fuentes is actually trending today. That was based on the comments of the Idaho Attorney General, I believe. This woman. I just pulled up this tweet. It doesn't really have that much to do with what I'm talking about. I was just looking for something roughly tangential. But I think these personalities get attention because they create outrage. And so that draws supporters who are attracted to this type of interaction. And then it also draws haters who just can't help but want to insult them, speak out against them, etc., etc. But you really have no control over what people say and do. I mean, yeah, they can be deplatformed, they can be minimized, they can be shunned, but you really have, like, people can always get some level of attention and say pretty much whatever it is they want. So what really is, if you stand against these people, what really is the healthy approach? And I think the best approach is just really to give them as little attention as possible. You might want to speak out against what they stand for, but you can do this in a way that doesn't give them direct attention. You can talk about their ideas and criticize them without giving the individuals attention that they want, so that when people do encounter them, they're familiar with the subject matter. Sometimes it's impossible. You have to actually mention the person's name, but you can do it in a way where you're kind of defining and framing the situation without, debating the person, giving them the platform to frame everything. Like, that's what Deborah Lipstadt did with Mr. What's-His-Face? I forget his name. David Irving. And I really think that was the right approach, because anytime you debate something, even if you disagree with them or refute their ideas, you can discredit them, but you're giving their ideas credence just by platforming them. And you're also going to build up their supporter base, even if you do win, because you're going to spread their message. So I think, and I don't necessarily follow this advice, actually I don't, but maybe I should. Then what would my channel be about? I don't know, other healthier things. Is really to just not talk about toxic people, maybe criticize their ideas, but really create a stronger community that's more immune to what you consider to be toxic ideas that are the antithesis of what you stand for, by criticizing them, but also not really platforming them, giving their ideas credence, I would say. No, I think if people are out there really causing harm, you should call them out in the right sort of way to create awareness, to create resistance. But if some guy is just having a toxic show or having a toxic event, like, you don't necessarily have to give them attention. You don't necessarily have to debate them. You can just do so at your choosing in a way that you think is healthy without letting them take over what it is you're trying to do, or take over your narrative, or what you stand for. So I think if you strike the right balance, that can be done. 'Cause I was thinking, I break this rule myself, right? Like, here are all these people I find to be toxic. Don't even necessarily have big followings, and yet I talk about them. So I think really a healthier approach is to deal with more mainstream people that you find to be healthy, and avoid talking about the toxic people. Even though, like, that's where the fun is, right? People want to talk about drama. They want to talk about the train wrecks, like Politically Provoked or Ethan Ralph or Nick Fuentes or the National Justice Party. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but you shouldn't let the haters and the toxic people detract you from having a healthy existence. So I was just having those thoughts today. I need to follow my own advice, so maybe I'll try to do that. But it's like, what am I going to talk about? Probably just mainstream things that everyone is talking about, like the war in Ukraine, Putin. But I don't necessarily need to talk about like what alt-right people are saying about it, since they have the cringiest takes anyway, which we already know. But we're drawn to talk about that because they try to have cringy takes to normies, right? Like, that's how they get attention. It's a counter narrative to go against the current, to try to be an iconoclast, to get attention, to generate outrage, etc., etc., etc. And yet so many people like me fall into the trap of giving them attention, talking about them, which I think is exactly what they want. Like, they want haters, they want criticism, they want attention, just as I do when I talk about the dissident right, because I know a lot of people hate my critiques and criticisms because they support these people, which I kind of like. So I'm kind of an iconoclast within the dissident right, which is the role they have in society at large. So, like, I don't know, BPF, he's trying to have his show dissect ideas. He does a good job of it, and he talks to various personalities. He does, but he's also heavily focused on the dissident right, or the alt-right. And it's like, this is such a small cross-section of society, of like freaks online. And there's so many normies, or like normie tier commentators and just audience members online, that's like the silent majority, right? Just like everyday people. I think you could probably get a following by going after those people, as opposed to swimming in the cesspool that's the alt-right. Those are just like the freaks online. Anyway, just some random thoughts when I'm in the car, as I usually do. So, yeah, also thinking about, like, this war with Putin is getting crazier and crazier. I know I've talked about the dissident right choosing the wrong side yet again, siding with Putin, but that looks more and more ridiculous the more you see this guy act, what he says, what he's doing. I think maybe the West misplayed the way they handled this by pushing for NATO membership for Ukraine, or maybe in some other ways by instigating Russia. But it's like, unless you accept Russia throwing their weight around and dominating others, then it's impossible to not instigate them into war. Like, are we just supposed to accept Russia telling Ukraine what to do? Like, NATO membership antagonize them into invading? Well, they invaded all the way back in 2014 when they took over the Crimea and the other areas. So it's like, What do you expect a country that's trying to be independent to do? Just sit there and allow themselves to be invaded? So I don't know. It's like this argument of cause and effect. But I mean, they do now, but I have no doubt that the dissident right in real time would have been virtue signaling for the Third Reich back in the day, saying, let them have Poland. Like, Hitler's based. He's fighting for his people. Just let them have Poland. It's Poland's fault. I mean, that's what they say now. But it would be even more stark to witness it in real time. They'd probably be doing the same thing for Japan, blaming the U.S. for the bombing. They do it now. So, I don't know. Just a toxic bunch of people, yet we talk about them so much. Maybe we should change that. We'll see. We'll see if I can. I know, or at least talk about them less, right? Like, why do we let idiots dictate our discourse? You know what I mean? Anyway, everyone have a good day.